Thanks for joining us. I'd like to introduce somebody who was very instrumental in the creation and maintenance of Xena, Warrior Princess. Miss Liz Friedman, my sounding board and inspiration, litmus paper, supervising producer, co-executive producer, great force in helping to guide Xena.
Hi, I'm RJ Stewart. I'm going to do the commentary on the Furies.
And this is Rob Tappert, as you know.
Warrior Princess committed a terrible crime. She will be punished by persecution and madness.
Many of the the characters in the Greek mythology were driven mad by the gods messing with them. And of course, we start with a little sex.
This is a good way to open an episode.
Why is that, Liz?
Well, it's a little like a prehistoric strip club. I actually think this scene is mainly in so that RJ could write off all the times he went to strip clubs on his taxes. So these are the Furies.
Furiously wild dancers like that.
That's right.
Ares' main gripe against Xena is that she didn't love him the way he loves her, although obviously he expresses his love in a very bizarre way.
You know, the one thing costumes were great at was finding ways to attach things to women's bosoms so they didn't fall off. Among many things.
I think one time Eric Grunderman, the line producer, added up the number of breast push-ups that we'd used. Wasn't it, you know, just hundreds of thousands?
Probably.
Yeah.
Holy fright, Liz. I can't believe this got on television now that I see it.
It's one of our smuttier moments, but there were many, really. Oh, Kevin Smith. So great.
Yep. I don't know, would you say that Ares is a stalker?
Of Xena?
Yeah.
I think he is, slightly. You know, I mean, he doesn't have to lurk pathetically, being that he's a god and all. But, yeah, he's a little obsessed.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh, well.
I mean...
It always worked for me.
One of the things that we stumbled on in the process is, what I really tried to do in a lot of the episodes was to have our superheroes, our heroes who are superhuman in their ability to fight and battle the odds, to do things that we all recognize from our everyday life. And here they're doing a foot race, but of course they do it as only Xena could do it. And she won.
Okay, cheating's an overstatement. Say sanity's sweet illusion with the poison of delusion. To Xena's hate.
The costumers, of course, knew what they were doing. She went on to do Lord of the Rings, right?
Uh-oh, here come the Stooges sound effects.
This is when, see, when you go crazy, at least if you're driven crazy by the Furies, apparently you fight like the Three Stooges.
Nothing wrong with the Stooges.
Nothing wrong with that. Actually, when in these Three Stooges moments is one of the rare moments where I feel like I see Lucy creeping through. There's something about that, you know, that goofy sensibility that's it's just her.
Prop man throwing.
I love that.
I love the smell of warrior sweat in the morning.
Coming up here, that was what the studio got on us. That shot where she's coming at Draco to kiss him. Do you remember the studio said, you can't have that shot in. It looks like she's about to kiss a woman. And because her and Gabrielle are traveling together, everyone's going to think they're lesbians. And I said, you guys are crazy. No one's going to think they're lesbians. Apparently, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
There you go. Nor did the studio, though.
That's true. Well, they assumed that people thinking they were lesbians was a bad thing.
Ah.
Xena, you're acting really strange.
Don't be ridiculous, Mavis. Hello.
Why did she start calling Gabrielle Mavis?
I don't know. That was a total Lucy.
What do you think? I think we have a serious problem here, Xena.
I could lose the daisies.
It's
You know, the odd thing is there's really no place for, there's no female comedians shows, really. There's sitcoms.
There's sitcoms. Why, other than our our crass tendencies. Does Xena take off her clothes here?
Why? Because Xena would never do that, and it leaves her totally exposed and vulnerable.
Ooh, that's a very good answer.
Yep.
I do think that some of the reason there was a mixed reaction to this episode is that it starts off feeling like it's going to be a full-on comedy, and then it gets much darker as it goes along.
Look at you. The guilt, the shame, it's stamped on your face as clear as mud.
One of the running themes of the character of Xena is she's tormented by guilt. In an episode I wrote in the first season, we learned that she, by accidentally, caused Callisto's town to burn down and created a monster out of Callisto.
Can't you see that women and children have crucified the women and children?
And here she's sort of reversing the guilt on the people. She, of course, is the one that's killed women and children, and she's now projecting that guilt onto these people that she's met. It's sort of a, in her madness, she's trying to sort of rewrite herself, to recreate herself, because she's trying to find her center. And there she recognizes where she's at.
No, we'll get through this.
Whenever Xena was in trouble, you really bought Renee's or Gabrielle's intense care for her. That was something that, I mean, Renee does everything great, but that was really something you bought in her care for her friend. We could really build on that to create episodes that would bring them apart, bring them back together.
Previous to this, had Xena thought her father was alive?
In Ties That Bind, she assumed her father was alive, and that even that Tim was that her father.
Right.
And then and we said it wasn't him.
Right, and then we left it. So that's basically Xena learning for a fact that her father is dead, and this has some great Sam-O-Cam, Evil Dead stuff in it.
My wife is a therapist, a psychologist, and she's worked with insanity. And a lot of this is based on actual experiences that schizophrenics experience, certainly hallucination being one of it. Probably no one in history has had all of the attributes of madness on one nightmare day, but then again, this is Ares orchestrating it, and Xena, you need that kind of intense pressure on her psyche to affect Xena Warrior Princess.
Reused effects from Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
That's right, it's a Hydra. This is one of those rare moments where, boy, you just wish this had been a night scene.
Right.
Just because of the realities of TV scheduling, we couldn't do that.
That's right. We seldom did night scenes because we had turnaround problems coming off of Friday nights and actor turnarounds and all those production problems. So unless it was the New Zealand winter where it was dark by 5:30 and you'd shoot until 8 or something, we never did nights.
Right. So basically, if you watch carefully, if it's a night scene, you're going to be in an interior.
That's right.
Or else it's a campfire, in which case we built that forest clearing on a stage and faked it.
It's me, it's Gabrielle. Now put that down.
Filling the fantasies of many, Xena ties Gabrielle up, then ruining those fantasies, she leaves.
Huh. I never even thought about that.
Now to the gods, we are nothing but dirty little beetles, and they'll kill us for their sport.
There was a playwright in England in the 1600s named William Shakespeare, who clearly had access to the scrolls of the bard Gabrielle, because he put a line very similar to that in his work, King Lear, his line was, "We are to the gods as flies to wanton boys. They kill us for their sport." And as you see, it was actually Gabrielle who recorded Xena saying that many years ago.
You behave or you don't get to come.
This is very funny.
Come on, guys. She's a babbling idiot. She doesn't even know we're here.
In fact, season 1 and 2 of Xena, I think, Liz, that we gave most of the god stories to Hercules. And tried to keep the personal warlord stories to Xena. And then as time went on, you get stories wherever you can take them.
Yeah.
And started to do more mythological stories and anything dealing with Ares. So
Right, because I think at the beginning we were really trying to mark the difference between the shows more. By season 3, it was very apparent that they were different, you know, animals, as it were.
Their own beast.
Yes. This is Xena's mom.
See, Xena's mother is a very important character in the series. I always felt in the backstory Xena was a happy child, and then tragedy started to descend on her life. And the rift with her mother and her not living up to her mother's hopes for her is a great crisis in Xena's identity. And so for her, and at this point where she's mad and struggling to hang on to her identity, for her to go back to see Cyrene, who is her mother, is essential, because she's trying to rebuild herself, rebuild who she is. And so she returned to an image of herself in her mother's eyes that she appreciated, not knowing, of course, some of the secrets that her mother is hiding from her. What is at stake here is not only her relationship with her mother, her relationship with herself, but how her mother sees her. Because that's one of the ways she has defined herself, not only in the positive way, at one point she liked being who her mother wanted her to be, but also in the negative sense, that she doesn't like in the pilot, of course, her mother spits on her. That's how extreme her mother's relationship with her had evolved.
He told me Xena had to die. I took an axe and I stopped him.
This is a reference to an actual Greek myth. I mean, as actual as Greek myths are.
what was the story of Orestes? He was driven mad by the Furies for not...
Well, Orestes, his father killed his mother, and then what we did, he was driven mad for not avenging, I believe, the death of his mother, and then what we did with it, RJ's very clever twist, as you will discover, is that maybe he did avenge them.
His obligation, according to the code of the Furies, was to kill his mother. Did it work?
So now Gabrielle's left Cyrene alone with Xena, thinking that she is comatose.
So Mama killed Papa.
Not so much.
That's a great delivery by Lucy, huh?
You were trying to save my life, right? I should be grateful.
I like this scene because the tension,
But you have to admit, you did
and Lucy
put me in
so
some
pulls it off.
danger.
She's managed to grab enough of a point of view and enough of herself to start formulating a plan, but her darker side is so obscuring her positive side that she's still very dangerous. And in my mind, she's already beginning in her confused madness to formulate the ultimate solution to the episode. So she's beginning now to figure it all out. What she needs to do, who she needs to fool.
No matter what we do, we still end up as food for their worms.
Very dark worldview in this episode.
Oh no.
A good dramatic moment.
Yes.
Xena?
Mother, I am a lunatic with lethal combat skills.
Good line. I mean, actually, that sort of sums up Xena in this episode perfectly. Lunatic with combat skills.
A suicidal Xena. It's a fairly frequent motif in the show, actually.
Well, it's that warrior thing.
Right.
I felt, of course, that she is manipulating it so Ares will come to her. She never really considered suicide.
Yeah, because Xena really pulls some serious strings throughout this whole episode.
Xena.
This is Kevin as he started to grow his hair out longer and longer, and he didn't cut it for the next 2 years.
Nobody had better facial hair than Kevin Smith.
You're my favorite.
And this some of the speeches coming up with the Ares, a lot of what he says is very Nietzschean. And I thought if the God of War had a worldview, it certainly, he could probably find a lot, and also Sprach Zarathustra that would appeal to him.
For those who just endure life, yeah, it is a very nasty joke. But for those who form it with their will, the joke is on those who get in the way.
I remember the first time you said, there's this weird little New Zealand movie called Desperate Remedies, but you should check it out because this guy, Kevin Smith, is really, he's good.
Of course, Kevin Smith sold this stuff. My goodness. We had a lot of good actors on Xena that really made it a lot of fun to write for them.
They're all behind you.
You expect me to trust you? I'm crazy. I'm not stupid. If I'm...
See, in my mind, Xena at this point, even though she's still very much under the powers of the Furies and is dealing with her madness, is formulating a very sophisticated plan to reverse the tables on Ares, even though Ares thinks he's in control.
All right, well, see, that was just Xena playing Ares like a fiddle.
That was.
Yeah, having said that,
Xena, you're all right. I'm anything but all right.
I'm not, I don't think that she is sure she's not going to kill her mother. Because there's a sort of a justified rage she has towards her mother because of the way her mother has withheld information from her and put her in this situation.
Tell me, Mother, when you and Daddy were rolling around like a pair of crazed weasels, was it good? Please, Xena, let's just get this over with.
I never was interested how I was brought into the world.
No, really, I'm not interested at all.
One night he was there with me, and yes, it was good.
Another point of view or worldview that I was playing with in this episode was Xena's, was sort of a very dark, pessimistic worldview, which is sort of in some schools of Buddhism and the German philosopher Schopenhauer looking at that all the basic things that we incorporate into our view of a healthy life as just biological, rather than then her mother and father, rather than conceiving her, they're rolling around in lustful sex, so her conception in and of itself is almost an act of a bad act.
Is there a problem, Xena?
What am I doing?
In the early drafts of this script,
Killed your father.
Ares was, in fact, her father, right?
To be her father.
Yeah, and then the studio got very upset.
The studio got very upset. The implications of what that meant, making it Hercules' half-brother.
And also, wasn't there a sense that it belittled Xena's achievements?
Her human achievements?
Yeah.
Did indeed. And it made it kind of incestuous that she was hitting on with her father, and we didn't know where we were going to go with that.
I mean, I have to say, this is something, you never want to say, but I actually think it was a good note.
Absolutely.
Because really, all the sort of sexual tension between Xena and Ares, I think we never would have been able to do that.
Wouldn't have sustained, absolutely.
Yeah.
You ladies do dress the part, don't you? Did you ever wonder why Daddy used the word jealous when referring to my alleged father?
There's an interesting thing. If you say that what she's, of course, we never definitively answered in the series. If in fact she is Ares' child, it would explain her great fighting ability. On the other hand, it's much cooler, much more interesting if she's just a human being who through her desire and her training and her will, has achieved combat skills that can compete with a god. By the way, she knows she's competitive with Ares because she's fought him before. In my view of the series, certainly she was not Ares' child. That's just...
But the audience walks away from this. Do they think Ares is her dad?
I think Well, I don't know. My initial thought was, well, the audience thinks that the producers couldn't make up their mind. What do you think?
I never thought it was entirely clear. We solved the episode problem, but I think we walked away going, huh,
Right.
see, she is totally mortal. But the...
Right, the question is, does the audience believe it?
Right.
And you knew exactly.
You know, one of the things early on when we started Hercules and carried on into Xena was I read a newspaper article, and 50% of the kids in America grow up in a house with their stepfather or with a step-parent,
Right.
not their regular parent. And I think 20% or 24% don't even know or have regular
Just
contacts
single
with
parent,
a single parent.
Be strong.
And wanted to embrace that feeling of those people wanting to know who both their parents were,
Right.
and play it through both the series. And well, Liz, it was great to do commentary with you.
It was excellent doing commentary with you, Rob.
Yes.
There we go.
Awesome.
Furies.